Attack on Titan has finally come to an end. I can finally talk about it after all the wait. Initially, I was honestly very anxious to watch the final episode because I've heard from a lot of manga readers that the ending was controversial. So I went into it with low expectations, and honestly the ending was amazing. It was actually pretty good. I absolutely loved it. I don't understand why there was a lot of issues when the manga ending. I thought the ending in the anime was great. I mean, it's not perfect. There are a bit of issues where I felt that the ending at certain scenes was in a rush. Therefore, it screwed up the pacing a bit, but it's just a tiny problem. I mostly had no problems with it. Attack on Titan is a very special anime to me, and it is by far the most influential and popular anime of recent years. 10 years to finish, and was even one of the most watched shows in the US at one point. It's probably my top 5 favorite anime ever, so let's delve into it. Also, I'll try my best to make this a non-spoiler video where I don't talk about any plot points that happen. I don't tell anything that happens in the story. And this for the sake of those who have never seen the anime. I do plan on making a spoiler review very soon. Henceforth, for the sake of others, please do not write any spoilers in the comments. Thank you. Today we are going to talk about Attack on Titan, which is a really special and endearing anime to me. So let's talk about my first point, plot twist. When it comes to Attack on Titan, the biggest thing is the plot twist. Something happens and you would think the story is going one way and this specific way, but then suddenly there's this plot twist that comes out and the story just goes in another different direction, and it doesn't just happen once. It happens a couple of times actually, and then they show us all the red herrings and the clues that Isayama has brilliantly sprinkled throughout the story. And we are like, oh, it makes sense now. And sometimes you go like, oh, I did not expect that at all. Not to spoil anything, if you look at season 1 and season 4 of Attack on Titan, it feels like two different shows due to the level of development of the story that has happened throughout the show. On the very first episode as well, there were clues pertaining to the plot twist that occur later in the series. Like, in my opinion, a good plot twist should change the direction of the story in terms of either conflict or themes or even plot. And Attack on Titan manages to make their plot twist this way. It is just brilliantly executed. And there's a lot of full circle moments as well. And full circle moments are not rare in shows and movies, but when you have one moment and then they show a full circle moment back to it again, and they keep referencing that scene again more than once. Now that's something really special, because the same scene can have multiple different interpretations. They show it again the first time, you think, oh, so that's what happened. And then they show it again the second time, and wow, so that's what happened. So it's just really amazing, and everything is interconnected into the story. Everything is just tying up to the main and overarching story. I don't know how big of a brain Isayama has, but he knows how to tell stories. And the conflict may seem simple at first, where there's a definitive good guy and bad guy, but damn, does the story get more complicated over time. And therefore the conflict gets complicated, and I like those kind of things. And now let's talk about characters. Attack on Titan manages to juggle both characters and plot really well, such that there's equal importance given to both sides. The characters in the show, all the main characters are very well realized and written and fleshed out really well. They have their own strengths and weaknesses, like Armin for example is brilliant but is not very confident of himself, and some of them even undergo such incredible character development and arcs. Each of the characters have their own goals, motivations and reasons to do what they're doing. There isn't a single dull character or character I dislike in the series. I don't know why. There are a few characters that I see many people not giving enough recognition to. But personally, for me, I think they are actually very fleshed out characters. And the show makes a point of making none of the characters in the extremes. What I mean is that none of the characters are pure evil or pure good. It's a combination. They are more complex due to their moral ambiguity. For those who are probably new to the show and are still in season 1 or something, you might be thinking, what the hell is this guy even talking about? Well, maybe I hyped it too much for you guys. Sorry about that. But those who have completed watching the show would know what I'm talking about. Every character in this series has depth and no bland characters. Themes. One of my favorite things about stories is themes, and this show is no exception to that. There isn't one main or big theme in this show. It's made up of multiple big themes, and rather than just touching the precipice of this, or scratching the surface as most might say it, which I see a lot of movies do it to their runtime, it delves deeper into it and connects it to the main overarching story in a way that makes sense. And that is something that all great stories should strive to do. Some of the themes are from the topics of survival, determination, grief, regrets, and doing the right things, and so many others as well. But due to spoilers, I won't mention them. Then music. I think music in the show deserves special recognition. The openings and the endings were all phenomenal, but the OSTs just adds to the atmosphere of the scene. Especially in the second last episode that came out earlier this year, I felt all the emotions thanks to the OST that was playing. I could feel my heart sinking. That was how emotionally moved I was. And it wouldn't have been possible without the OST. I mean, with the visuals, I can feel that way, but the OST just added to it by a lot. It's not just this episode. Throughout the entire series, we are blessed with some of the greatest OSTs in anime by Hiroyuki Sawano and many other composers. Animation. Let's talk about animation. Season 1 to 3 had some great animation, especially when it comes to action and ODM gear. And now this actually makes me curious. I wonder how the slinging of a Spider-Man anime would look like if which studio did it. It's actually making me curious. And other great animation projects like Puss in Boots 2 The Last Wish also took inspiration from this anime. When they announced that MAPPA was doing season 4, a few people were worried that there wasn't sufficient time to finish up on the animation because they just took it and it's going to come out in 9 months or something. And there were a few people on Twitter complaining when it came out that the animation was not good enough. But I personally thought it was fine, although it was a step down compared to the first 3 seasons. But they actually picked up the pace in season 4 part 2, and when it came to season 4 part 3, oh wow, the animation was amazing. Of course, nothing like the chef's kiss of animation season 1 to 3, but still the scope was much bigger and just amazing overall. And I like some of the creative choices that MAPPA used to portray certain scenes. Now let's talk about the ending. A lot of manga readers had issues with the manga ending. I have no idea how the manga ended, but as someone who has only watched the anime, I thought the ending was great. I don't see any other way they could have ended it. Many of the loose strings were tied and gave a proper resolution to the characters. All the characters had their time to shine. It's a great ending. Not the best, but still great. I mean, there were a few scenes with pacing issues, and I think that's due to the fact that the ending was a bit rushed, but still great. Then let's talk about the rewatchability. Despite all the trauma and the pain you receive from this show, it is still very rewatchable. And that's due to the fact that when you rewatch the show, you notice new things that you didn't see the first time. And this will enhance on your experience of rewatching Attack on Titan. And I also want to talk about the clues and red herrings because I thought this show sprinkled their clues and red herrings perfectly throughout the entire series. Even small minute details are very important. And this show has a tendency to not give any clear answers sometimes. Sometimes they are said in an ambiguous way, and afterwards the show will explain it and it will all make sense. And that's why I really love Attack on Titan despite the ending being a bit rushed. Nonetheless, great series, absolutely loved it. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Please do not spoil anything for those who have never seen the show before. And should I make a spoiler review? Let me know in the comments as well. I mean, even if you say no, I'm probably going to make it either way. So thanks for watching. You guys are always the best. If you like this video, click the like button. If you want to see more, subscribe to my channel, and see you guys next time.